Hello out there, and welcome to the No Shit Cast. I'm your host, Matt Frazier. Woo! What is this, day 4,963 of being in quarantine or some shit like that? Thanks for joining us on our journey into the Internet College of Infinite Knowledge. My co-host for this evening's festivities, remotely located in a secret bunker where no one can get to him, none other than the great wizard of historical knowledge himself, Mr. Eric D. Smith. How are you tonight, Mr. Smith?
I'm doing well, man.
You look like
very,
it.
Very well.
What's your shirt say? Odysseus, Penelope. I can't. It's all Greek to me.
Athena and Zeus.
Or those gods or something like that?
No, it's the family unit. Odysseus was the father, and Penelope was the his wife.
Okay.
Themistocles was his son, and Athena was their patron deity of the family, and Zeus is the head of the pantheon. So, it's the family unit, the son, the dad, the mom, the patriarch god, and
right.
the god of everything. Basically, it's the main characters of the Odyssey, which is the sequel to the Iliad.
Oh, okay, right. Okay, now it makes sense. Yeah, because otherwise I was like, I don't have a clue what you're talking about, man. Hey, our favorite Bond villain sitting in the engineering booth tonight. How are you tonight, Mr. Devlin?
Hi.
Hi.
I'm doing good.
So Mr. Devlin is super, super excited because the big launch for Final Fantasy VII's remake, it went live last night. So they're all
today.
Midnight, midnight. So nerddom is orgasmically exuberant right now about that. That's a big deal.
Sounds like it would be fun.
You got all your villainy friends and everybody are all just loving that shit, right?
No.
Just you?
I'm the only one in my friend group. It's unfortunate.
Now, I saw this popping up in my news feed, so it's probably because I've clicked on these articles thinking, he'd be interested in them or something. I don't know.
Maybe so, yeah.
Google's algorithm.
So, he was up last night live streaming that shit. You want to show him?
Oh yeah. Let me get
he's got. Yeah, he's got.
See it later too.
Yeah. He's got. We're gonna put up his the link to his live stream, or tell people how to get to it. But so he's all. Yeah. It's kind of cute. He's sitting in the studio. He started recording these now here in the No Shit Cast studio, and he's sitting there and he's got his little blankie, his microphone,
comfortable and ready to be entrenched for a long period of time.
Yeah, pretty much. So in the whole time when he's doing these, the whole time he does them, he's like talking, like narrating them and things, talking about the game and stuff like that. So it's beautiful. It's a brilliant, beautiful looking game, to say the least. It's pretty amazing. The graphics on it are just off the hook.
What's interesting, if you watch me when I'm playing this, my mouth is just open. I'm just like, oh my god. Like, look at me. I'm holding my face right now. I'm not.
Yeah, he is too. He's sitting there like this.
It's been good days when your face is sore from smiling.
Now he's got his mouth covered like, oh my goodness. So how do people find this, Devlin, if they want to watch this?
You want to go to twitch.tv/Gemsas, JEMXAS.
And you can watch the live stream?
You can watch the live stream. Yeah, it's going to be up for a couple of days.
So if you want to check that out, folks, that's he's got that. If you want to check out the Final Fantasy remake and it's sort of his walkthrough on it, that's up there. So
yeah, I played for the first 2 hours on stream, and then I continued another 3 more hours on my own. But this is at midnight, so I finished at around 5 to 6 a.m. and I was like, I need sleep.
The sun was coming up.
Yeah, well, I can't see it from here.
So
definitely know that feeling of doing something so long that you don't want to see the sun come out, and if you do, it's like, oops.
So I've been working on getting our John Barrows from 10th Planet Newark says hi, by the way. I was talking to him the other day because he shared a post that he put up a long time ago from him in a jiu-jitsu tournament, and it's a takedown he did like to a leg lock transition. And
okay,
that was
yeah,
him?
I seen that.
M&R. Yeah, that's John Barrows. That's
Oh my god.
I thought I told you
no,
that.
I thought you said that he posted that. I didn't know that
No,
was
that's him.
That's insane.
I told you this dude's like a fucking assassin, man.
Yeah.
I like him already.
Yeah. So anyway, so I posted it, and I've been working on like our hashtag game a little bit, trying to get our hashtag game on point. And so I put that video out, or I reshared it from an Instagram post of his, and it got like, I don't know, 5,600 and some views since we've put it out, or reshared it. So it's done really, really well, like almost 1,000 likes. So,
Nice.
I've been getting our hashtag game on point because this is totally different than what it's been before. So it's a marked stepped increase in sort of the volume of traffic and stuff. It's hitting our social media now. But so I took a picture of it because I was all proud of it. Like it was 5,600 views. I don't remember what it was. It was something like that, or 36. I think it was like 50, 53, 63. And I took a screenshot of it and I circled it, like the number, and I sent it to him like, hey, you're popular, right? He's like, cool. And then he takes a screenshot and sends it back to me of a place where he posted it. It had 696,000 views or something. It's like over 500,000.
Hey man, out in the hinterlands of the internet where we posted that's pretty good for out there.
I know, man. I mean, we're like on the fringe, right? I wrote him back and I go, well, shit. I go, I'll check back. I'll check back in with you in about 3 years. I thought we were doing good. I felt pretty proud of that. But anyway, in that conversation, as soon as we get out of this plague bullshit, I'm gonna try to get him to come in the studio with us in here and talk to us about jiu-jitsu and 10th Planet and
so about 1.5 to 2 years from now.
Oh fuck! Don't say that. Do you think it's gonna be that long?
I've been saying that the whole time. The first time we ever talked about it.
Oh, I don't want to hear that.
Yeah, because that's how long it would take to make a vaccine.
What are you clicking?
My vape.
Uh-huh.
I'll stop.
Vaccines?
Yeah, vaccines.
Right.
Yeah, it's going to take about 1.5 to 2 years to make a safe vaccine that everybody can be inoculated with.
Dude, you think we're going to stay in this state of separation for 1.5 to 2 years? Is that what you're saying, or do you think it'll kind of go up and down?
I think it'll go up and down, like every month or every 2 months. They'll try to do business and on and off. And I think the whole concept of social distancing is going to continue, though, for a couple of years.
Yeah.
I mean, because it largely depends upon if we can develop herd immunity to it, right? I don't even know we're supposed to be talking about this, but don't want to be demonetized.
Well, I'm not gonna put it in the title or any of that shit. I mean, it's just us chit chatting.
And I don't think we've said anything about it. But anyways, they want you to, if you could develop herd immunity and everybody could get it and have antibodies, then it would be fine and there wouldn't be this problem. But if it's something like polio, where you just pick it up and there's no cure for it and it's always going to be around, because it's hard to say, right? Because most of these things migrate to the southern hemisphere when summer comes, but this one's already there. So it could be sticking around all the time. And if you don't get it, you're not going to get antibodies for it. And you don't want it because it's real bad.
Yeah.
So it's, it might be something you just have to avoid until you can be inoculated against. Even if it does go away and comes back the next season, we'll still have to deal with it until we're inoculated against it.
Right.
Because it's exactly like the normal flu. And we don't know if it goes dormant in your system or if you can catch it again. We don't know exactly what the antibodies that one builds up for it are once you recover.
Okay.
But it's worse, obviously, for health compromised people and older people, but not so much for young people. But it can kill healthy young people.
Yeah,
it has
and does. Yep.
Yeah. So you don't really know. It's a bit worse than the normal flu. So people are going to be pretty scared of it. It's a bit worse than that. That's pretty fucking bad.
I can tell you this, never in my life have I taken and sanitized my groceries as I'm bringing them in the house until now. This is all new to me. Yeah. What you got, Mr. Devlin?
The thing about YouTube and why they don't want people talking about the coronavirus is to spread misinformation to people.
Okay.
Which is why on YouTube you see a bunch of those coronavirus ads. So it's like learn more here instead of from anybody else. So
some guy like me sitting in this room talking about it.
Yeah. So
who is not a doctor.
That's why.
Well, we're not dispensing. Look, we're not dispensing advice.
No.
In any way.
Dispensing opinion.
We're just talking about how it's impacting our lives and what we're hearing the expectations to be, right? I mean, please don't. I'm not a doctor. Holy shit! I'm
just spreading my opinion. I'm not spreading anything as facts. This is just what I think is going to happen based on what I've heard. I'm not saying that that's going to happen or projecting it like a doctor would, but I have heard a lot of the scientists and doctors say these things.
Man, and I tell you what, I am so freaking happy to be from the Buckeye State right now with the way this thing has all gone down. I mean, it's like and it was funny because I can remember it all happened really fast here. The lockdown and stuff happened really fast here in Ohio, and it was like, whoa.
Early March.
And compared to like other states and stuff, right? And now it's like, holy cow, when you look at what's going on in other places versus here, it's like, damn, man, I am so happy I live here now.
Yeah.
I feel bad because it seems like depending on how rapidly the states and regions, it looks like there's a direct correlation between how rapidly they implemented sort of the lockdown procedures and stuff, has a direct correlation on how virulently, no pun intended, the things seem to spread in those areas. And man, we're just not seeing it. It's ravaging some places, but here we're doing pretty well as far as how the numbers are working out.
I go to work every day on the week, but we lock our doors and don't let no one in mostly.
Yeah. I mean, it seems, it's wrecking the economy.
Yeah.
of the world.
I'm worried about a lot of small businesses.
Oh my word. Yeah, so Devlin just brought up a chart here. Can you make that full screen by any chance, dude? Maybe. He's trying to bring up a chart so we can look at it. But yeah, there it is. Ugh. Have some ads, why don't you? So yeah, when you're looking at the rate of rise, Ohio's right down there. There's some other states. What's that say? What's that? Indiana? I can't really see the colors.
So purple's Indiana, green is Ohio, blue is Michigan, yellow's Illinois, and orange is Wisconsin. Yeah. And we are right in the lower end. Right in the lower end of rate of change, yeah. Yeah, there's a number of cases. We reached just about over 2,000.
Yeah.
And we're neck and neck with Indiana as of March 31st.
Man, I was so close. I almost went to Philly. Mm-hmm. I was supposed to be going to Philly. I was going to Philly for a job. And like the day before or 2 days before, I think it was, when all of this was starting to kind of get sideways, I talked to my boss, the owner of my company, and I was like, dude, this is getting weird. Like, I don't know if I want to be flying to Philly. Like, we should talk to them, because if I can't get there, then their customers probably aren't going to be, because this was when companies were starting to restrict travel. And then, man, like, I guess right now, Philadelphia, PA, especially Philadelphia area and New Jersey, which is right where I was going to be, is starting to balloon up now as a real hot spot. So I feel like I dodged a bullet.
Yeah, probably did.
The website we got that graph from was bridgemi.com, if anyone wants to check it out.
Okay. Very cool. Thank you, Mr. Devlin, the producer and engineer, keeping us
love it.
Keeping a tight ship here, Mr. Smith.
Yeah.
So, what you got for a show question? Yeah, what you got for a show question there, Mr. Devlin? Oh, we forgot to do your flower.
Oh yeah.
You got to do your flower. I got to figure out how to do this.
There's a little button at the bottom. There you go.
We got you. Devlin got you a light up flower because he misses
Thank you. That is awesome.
He misses having you in the studio, so you both can drive me fucking nuts. So we're gonna put this
right
for you.
And if I die, you can just put that on my tombstone.
Hey, memento mori.
Is it what?
Memento mori.
Are you? What'd you call me?
Yeah, that's right.
He's calling me names, Mr. Smith. What is that? Is it
love?
Token of love?
More or less.
Yeah, the moment to remember is what I thought it meant. Although I could be completely wrong.
In a friendship sort of way.
Yes, yes.
Like a caring way.
Exactly.
You speak Scottish way better than you speak Italian, right?
Who knows? I know how to ask to go to the bathroom in Italian.
I do in Scottish too.
Oh.
You go, how do you go to the bathroom? Or where do I go to the bathroom?
Oh, you see, in Italian, potrei andare al bagno.
Of course, I'm going to get. I should have clarified. I didn't mean Gaelic. I fucking can't understand them when they're not speaking Gaelic most of the time. Yeah, we speak the same language. No, we don't. No, I don't know what that is. Woo. Anyway. All right, what you got for a show question there, Bubba?
What's the most embarrassing fashion trend you used to wear?
Most embarrassing fashion trend I used to wear, like as in clothing or haircuts or anything.
Anything.
Mr. Smith?
Well, I had a pair of pants and a coat that was all like that hefty bag, sort of thin leather shit.
Oh, parachute pants and shit?
Yeah, but they were like not parachute pants, but they were tight, but leather, but not like the good leather, just the thin leather like the Michael Jackson would wear.
Yeah, yeah.
Zippers everywhere.
Pleather.
Yeah, and if you did the zippers, it was like red, like it just opened up.
Yeah.
For no reason. Yeah, it actually wore that around at a school in Texas.
Yeah, you wore makeup too, right? Didn't you tell me one time that was like there was
in 10th, 11th grade. Yeah.
At school?
Yeah.
God.
Occasionally I did.
I'm trying to think. Most embarrassing.
Yeah.
Dude, you used to wear a gi to work, right? I mean, we've been down that road. There's got to be a I mean, I had a mullet for a while. I guess that's the most embarrassing thing. Business in the front,
I
party in
that
the back.
mullet.
I fucking rocked a mullet for a while, bro.
Especially with the red hair, man.
Yeah, fire engine red hair mullet.
Yeah, mullet. It was impressive.
And it was like down in the middle of my back, like between my shoulder blades long. I put it in ponytail. I could braid my hair. Ugh.
Yeah.
God. What the fuck was I thinking? 80s
had some weird shit going on.
Nah, and for me, dude, it was as much about having just gotten out of the military, where I had to have short hair and there were shave standards and all that kind of stuff constantly, like uniform requirements. And when I got out of the military, I just was like, fuck it, and didn't want to cut my hair, didn't want to have to. I grew my beard in, remember? Everybody said I look like young Kris Kringle from the television cartoon, so I was like, shit.
I know what you're talking about.
Shut up, you little shit.
And how about you, Devlin?
When I was younger, I got a lot of hand-me-down clothes, so I didn't really follow any fashion trends that way, but I did have a Bieber haircut. Or I tried to have a Bieber haircut.
Yeah,
it was more like
that.
Ball of hair.
It was a bowl cut.
Yeah.
It was a straight up bowl cut. And I went,
Yeah, I didn't want to cut that. I remember when I was younger, I did not want that cut. And then I got older. I was like, get rid of it. Kill it. Kill it now.
Take all the pictures and destroy them.
But see, you rocked a fucked up hairdo or whatever, goofy hairdo when you were a kid.
Oh, yeah.
I was 22 and running around with a fucking mullet, like a full-blown mullet, man. It was, I don't know what the hell I was thinking.
Yeah, I was only like 16 or 17 when I was doing the makeup stuff.
I had my ear pierced. I mean, still have it, but I had it pierced for a while in high school.
No way. Really?
Yeah, I can still put an earring in it.
Wow.
Yep. I got 2 piercings on my left ear.
Yeah, do you?
Supposed to do. So, yeah.
Yeah, left is right and right is wrong was what they used to say.
Yeah, somewhere. Yeah.
All right.
Oh wait, yeah.
Now I see a lot of dudes have both ears pierced.
Mm-hmm.
It's like a real common thing.
Back then too.
Mm-hmm. Yeah. Especially like
I have a sub question.
Okay.
A sub what?
A sub show question.
Oh, okay. We're gonna talk
just
sandwiches. What are we doing? Okay, what do you got?
Okay, so I have a question about a Captain Morgan experience with a shot glass at Jeff Cody's house.
Captain Morgan experience.
What?
Involving a shot glass at Jeff Cody's house.
It's not ringing a bell.
No.
This is a military thing? Did you talk?
I don't know. Mike asked me to ask.
Oh, Mike Barnett's got something to do with it.
Yeah.
Oh, you know what?
We've been talking a lot lately.
Yeah. He and we've been talking about getting him to come on the show and possibly like James Cofer or Andrea Slater or some of the other people I was in the military with at the same time, Jeff Cody and Mike Barnett, possibly. But I want to see how we would do that in Skype. I think we can pull it off, but we're going to have to really make sure everybody knows when they're talking and when they're not, But
I thought you alluded to this, though.
Yeah, he wants to come on and do like sea stories.
No.
Kind of
I mean,
shit,
the Jeff Cody story.
I don't know, man, with a shot glass and Captain Morgan's.
Yeah, I'm more sure about the shot glass and it being at Jeff Cody's house, but I think he said Cap, and I assume that meant Captain Morgan, but he said Cap, shot glass, and Jeff Cody's house or apartment.
Got nothing.
Maybe I had just misunderstood him or something.
Well, I'm sure he'll listen to this. Hi, Mike. Mike will listen to this.
Hey, Mike.
Like
I hope I didn't get that wrong. I tried.
So he'll Mike, put it down in the comments. What the fuck you're talking about, so we can clear that up.
You can, right?
Dad, do you even remember what you ate for breakfast this morning?
I don't eat breakfast.
Oh, cool.
So nothing. That was easy.
There you go.
I don't. No, I mean, look. There was so much crazy shit that went on when we were together. I mean, that's the military. Everyone's got those. I couldn't. I mean, I was a sailor. I mean, fuck did I drink? Right? Good Lord. So that's when you do all that stuff, right? So,
hey.
So yeah, right. I feel you. So do I think there was an event involving that happened at Jeff Cody's house with Captain Morgan's and a shot glass?
Possibly.
Fucking almost guaranteed.
Likely.
Do I remember which specific event he's talking about? No, I do not. I mean, holy shit, dude. I'm telling you, we could do episodes with just like I could get my Navy buddies on here, just tell sea stories. And shit, bro, some of the stuff we've seen, been through, it would blow your mind. Anyway, so that was the show question. So Anyway, so we're moving past that now. Anything else we wanted to cover before we head off into article land? No, nothing. Okay, don't everybody speak at once now.
Well, hey, shout out to people that watch the show. Dan W., if you're still out there, and Susan and Cassie's husband, John, who I don't think watched the show, but he's a cool guy. And Reed and all those people that we haven't talked to and said hi to for a while. Hi. Like, for instance, I was going to talk with Reed, and I said, oh, no, we're just doing some tests and stuff. It won't be that long.
Oh, whoops.
No, we were doing a show.
Hi, Reed.
Hey, Reed.
I can't wait till Reed comes back out here, man, so we can bring him in the studio. I want to have him in. Not only to have him on the show, but so that he can look at the way we do things and go, that's wrong, that's wrong, that's wrong.
We might have to kidnap him.
We might, yeah. As I said, once this thing actually starts picking up any kind of critical mass, we were like making money. I'd start hiring all these fuckers. Be like, produce this thing. Not that you're a fucker, Reed. I mean fucker in the very bro Navy sense of the word, fucker. Sorry. Anyway. All right. You want to do some articles? Let's do some articles. What you got up first there, Mr. Devlin?
This is from io9.gizmodo.com.
Yeah, it's Gizmodo, right?
Our first look at Space Force, that comedy about the joke that is the real Space Force.
So we covered Space Force, how their patch and emblem looks like they ripped it off from Star Trek, right? So
Yes. Yeah.
they're making it looks like they're making a sitcom about it now. And Steve Carell, the picture is Steve Carell, so I'm assuming he's in it. Says, real life sometimes is stranger than science fiction, even though we're in the middle of a pandemic. Trump's attempt to create a new branch of the military seems to still be underway. But until there are boots on the ground of the moon, legitimacy is still a long way off. That is, unless you turn on Netflix. The streaming platform has debuted the first look and May 29th release date for Space Force, a workplace comedy that fictionalizes the technically real sixth branch of the military, or maybe the Air Force's side hustle. It's really hard to tell at this point. Space Force stars a series of co-creator Steve Carell as a 4-star General Mark Naird, who dreams of running the Air Force, but is instead sent to lead the newly formed Space Force. Wacky hijinks presumably ensue.
Presumably, yeah. Yes.
So I think this is like, I don't think this takes place in space. I think it takes place like now. You think this might be like, remember back, we're old enough, right? Remember Star Wars, not the movie, but the actual weapons program?
Sorry, I just got freaked out.
Did you?
My phone was like laying over here to the left, and it beeped, and I looked over at it, and it was Siri, and it said, "Hey." And then it went off. I'm like, isn't that what I'm supposed to say to you?
Fuck, dude, you've been locked up too long, man.
Hey, what? Shut up.
Shut up, you.
Yeah. What were you saying?
I was asking, do you remember, we're old enough to remember the 80s and the Star Wars weapons program, which was largely just a fictional thing, right? It was like a weapons program that existed on paper so that espionage would find it, but it didn't actually ever, like none of the weapons existed.
No, they wanted to shoot lasers out of satellites orbiting the Earth, that IBCM missiles,
right,
to blow them up when they hit that, when they went out of the atmosphere before they came back down.
Yeah. It never happened. So I wonder if this Space Force is something like that.
I mean, it was really hard to put man on the moon in terms of resources and all the shit that they needed to do to coordinate. I would be surprised if it wouldn't take a long time to do what he's talking about. I don't think it's going to be anything overnight.
Yeah,
we could achieve it if we put our minds to it, but I don't know how important it is.
I always just assumed that anything that happened like this in space, though, would ultimately be relegated to the Navy.
There's certainly a lot of naval nomenclature in Star Trek.
But you know what I mean? Like, wouldn't that make sense? Like large space vessels, that's more the Navy's bag, handling large, vessels than the Air Force's. With lots of people on them and that kind of shit.
Yeah, I mean, I don't know. I mean, like anybody that trains in the air is going to be sorely missing that element in space.
No shit, right?
Yeah. It's like you're being attacked on land by the underwater force. Okay, I think we have the advantage.
I think we got them covered here, boss. We're going to be all set.
Whereas the Navy is actually used to being in airtight vessels,
right,
that have to deal with things like pressure
and extreme environments. Yeah. That's
so
what
I agree.
It doesn't make any sense to me, but whatever. Netflix first announced the series in January of 2019, about 6 months after the real Space Force was revealed. So it takes about 6 months to come up with something to pan the government.
I feel like that thing's going to get canceled before there's an actual Space Force.
Oh, I think you're probably right. Okay, well, let's put some shit on the scales here now, right? I was talking to my buddy Jamie about this, and I said, with what's happening in the world, with what we have a military that still, I heard this one time, still stocks helium for blimp warfare, and the flu just fucked us all up. So, I'm trying to figure out what really we need to be spending defense dollars on, because
all I know is that if on those two scales between Steve Carell and Trump,
who's funnier?
I think Steve. I can't even say anything. I don't know what I'm talking about.
Oh, it's all right, bro. The show concept. Me neither. I'm just making this shit up as we go. So I'm right there with you. The show concept seemed okay and remarkably timed to replace The Office after NBC took it off the streaming platform. And based on the first look, the show may likewise be okay. The remarkable thing isn't the show itself, but the fact that it was born out of this stupid and unfathomable endeavor. All right, well, this has got a political slant. What we got up next, Mr. Devlin?
This is from Futurism. Scientists release incredible video of a black hole spewing matter.
Woo! Black hole matter.
Now, I sent you this, right? Because I thought that this was impossible.
Why?
I thought nothing escaped from a black hole, especially matter.
Is it coming out of the event horizon, or is it coming out of the pole regions from the angular momentum of the event horizon and the accretion disk around it?
Well, I didn't read the article. Did you?
Nope.
I thought I sent it to you. I was like,
I can't even see the article at this point.
Yeah. After an international coalition of scientists released the first ever image of a black hole last year, we now have the ultimate follow-up, a video of a supermassive black hole spewing a brilliant jet of particles. Let's take a look at this.
Now, that happens pretty frequently. Supermassive black holes at the center of galaxies, which generally they are.
Okay.
They're active. You can see them from far away, and it's because they're eating matter, and not all of that matter can go down through the event horizon, but some of it spins off at the poles.
Okay. Yeah, I see this video of blurry orange dots.
Yeah,
so
I seen the picture. I didn't see the video, but I seen the picture, and it just looked like chunks of stuff being spewed by something spinning, like water coming out.
Yeah, pretty much. Devlin he got in a fight with me for the mouse, and now he's walking away. What are we doing? Oh.
This is what it looks like to me. Black holes right here.
Yeah.
And horizons are up here and over here.
Yeah.
Wouldn't that make sense?
Yeah, he's saying that like the black hole for those watching is like right here in the center, and then this is like what Eric's saying. It looks like something spinning off of it. All right,
that's what it looks like to me.
Let's read the article. Maybe the article will tell us. The video, part of a new research paper published in the journal Astronomy and Astrophysics this week, actually comes from the same observation of the black hole image conducted by the Event Horizon Telescope Initiative, as Science Alert reports. The video shows a distant quasar called 3C279, not LV246.
Yeah, right. So
in the Virgo constellation, 5 billion light years away from Earth, blasting out twin fire hose-like jets of plasma
at the end of both poles,
according to a statement. A quasar is the extremely bright heart of a galaxy, inside of which is a supermassive black hole surrounded by an accretion disk, an area of diffuse material spinning around a central body. These jets leave the black hole at 99.5% of the speed of light, thanks to the immense forces involved in the black hole sucking up matter.
Yep, so that's what that is.
So as it's ripping shit apart, it's throwing some of it off in that sort of process of render. Okay.
Yeah, because these things are billions of solar masses, and they're huge, and they're almost always at the center of galaxies. And we used to think that they were something else when we called them quasars originally, and then we realized that they were supermassive black holes in the middle of galaxies that were feeding on matter that was drifting into them. And in fact, there's a correlation of like 1% or 1.5% of the mass of the supermassive black hole in correlation to the mass of the galaxy that's the host galaxy. So there's a symbiosis there, and when they feed, they light up and they spew some of that matter off at the north and south pole of the event horizon before anything goes in. Like not everything's going into the event horizon, so it gets thrown back.
Well, it seems like there's. I kind of browsed ahead here. It seems like there might be some. It's not it. They're what they're seeing they didn't expect. To capture the series of images, the team used a new technique called very long baseline interferometry, which collects and synchronizes data from a number of radio dishes from around the world, forming one huge virtual Earth-sized telescope.
That's what I heard they did for the black hole image. That's how they did it.
Yep.
That's interesting.
EHT, well, that's what this thing is. It's the same. It's the same. That's what they said in the articles. Like the same imagery technique. So
I swear I'm paying attention.
I bet you are. You got a lot going on, Mr. Hey, arching isn't easy, man. I get you. You're over there ruling the world, and
it's a hard knock life.
It is. EHT then analyzed and combined this data to focus in on distant objects at an astonishing resolution, 20 micro arc seconds on the sky, whatever the fuck that means. The equivalent of someone on Earth identifying an orange on the moon. That's what that means. According to the statement, the researchers were surprised to see the jets arcing unexpectedly with its shape twisting at the base.
Yeah, that's probably frame drag, actually.
You think?
Yeah.
He says, quote, "We knew every time you open up a new window to the universe, you can find something new." Jae Young Kim, researcher at the Max Planck Institute for Radio Astronomy in Germany and lead author of the paper, said in the statement, quote, "Here we expected to find the region where the jet forms by going to the sharpest image possible. We find a kind of perpendicular structure. This is like finding a very different shape by opening the smallest Matryoshka doll." I don't know what that is. Kim added. It's a massive achievement for the AHT team. "Last year, we could present the first image of the shadow of a black hole," said chair of the AHT collaboration board, Anton Zensus. "Now we see unexpected changes in the shape of the jet in 3C279, and we're not done yet. As we told last year, this is just the beginning." So I think all they're getting at is that they're finding a lot more data as they're digging into this stuff, these images and stuff more. Oh, the Russian dolls. Okay, I would have just called them Russian. I didn't know they were called Maya. What the fuck ever dolls.
Frame drag is when the angular momentum of the event horizon and the gravity force that's there literally slows down sections of space-time.
Yeah.
And so it drags in a strange but predictable way.
Like a blurring effect, or like some sort, like or what do they call that? Like where you like
it doesn't
shimmering?
look like it's blurry. It's just that it makes like a weird shape. It's hard to describe. It's like if you had something that was viscous, like pudding.
Yeah.
Put some red food dye in it. As you would stir that food dye around, you know how it kind of stretches out.
Yeah.
And it moves, but it also gets bigger, kind of a thing. It's that sort of a thing. It gets stretched and dragged. So
it's some sort of property of like fluid dynamics.
Yeah, a lot like that. Okay. Except instead of fluid, it's space-time that's doing it instead of fluid. Yeah.
Well,
so
space-time
that
acts
could be
like
what they're observing.
All right, Mr. Devlin, what we got up next, Bubba?
This also comes from futurism. Scientists plugged the bionic eye directly into this woman's brain. She had a computer port surgically embedded into her skull.
Transhumanism, baby.
Mm-hmm.
You going to get a third eye put in? Is that what you're saying?
Yeah, maybe. Yeah, she got. I mean, where did they put it at? Right.
Well,
is there some kind of an outside sensor or something?
It says Bernadetta Gomez has been blind for 16 years, but using a bionic eye developed by Spanish neuroengineer Eduardo Fernandez, she was able to see again without using her biological eyes at all. So I'm thinking like a Geordie LaForge type thing from Star Trek, right?
Yeah.
The system which Fernandez is honing at his University of Miguel Hernandez lab comprises a few different parts, as detailed in a newly published story in MIT Technology Review. First, there's a pair of glasses fitted with a camera that connects to a computer. The computer translates the camera live video feed into electronic signals. Those signals are sent via a cable to a port that Fernandez surgically embedded in the back of Gomez's skull. That port connects us to an implant in the visual cortex of Gomez's brain. Yeah. So the glasses are fitted to the camera. The camera is fitted to the computer.
The computer's fitted to your brain.
The computer's fitted to the embedded, surgically implanted port in your back of your skull. What you got, Devlin?
I just wonder if she can actually see real like images as you and I could, or is it just like rough shapes?
Yeah. I guess it all depends on how good the technology is, right? Or did it for 6 months. Huh? Okay. I don't know what that means. Or it did for 6 months anyway. That's all the time Fernandez was approved to test the bionic eye with Gomez before he had to remove the 100 electrode implant. So it's 100 bit.
Jeez, they could have left it there.
Should have went 128, man. Then they could have went 250. Anyway, right. You got to suck those things back out. For those 6 months, though, Gomez visited the lab 4 times per week, using the system to see a low-res version of the world around her. Though what she saw in her mind was little more than glowing dots, it was still enough to allow her to identify letters, lights, and people. No shit. She even played a simple Pac-Man-like computer game piped directly into her brain. That's the monitor. Right?
Pac-Man on the brain, man.
Now that Fernandez knows his bionic eye works, he's looking ahead to the next steps. Those will include testing ways to prevent the implant from degrading while in the body and testing the entire system on more people.
We didn't get hoverboards, but we definitely got the ability to put Pac-Man in your
brain. That doesn't suck. Berna was our first patient, but over the next couple of years, we will install implants in 5 more blind people, he told MIT Tech. We had done similar experiments in animals, but a cat or a monkey can't explain what it's seeing.
So you can see that there's going to be at some point a cross-current event when we talk about the ability to augment people in such examples as this, like with eyes, and then we talk about things with CRISPR.
Right.
You know, at some point, these technologies are going to blend together and be useful to each other. He's talking about these implants degrading and things like that. Mm-hmm. But if you had CRISPR and we were able to perfect how the body reacts to it,
right?
They may not be. I'm not sure why they're degrading, right? Like, I'm not sure if it's the body is rejecting them.
Well, if fixed materials, no matter what you use, pretty much, they don't heal. The human body heals; it replaces itself. Materials don't. So they're so
nanites you could,
like nanobots and nanites and stuff. Yeah. Then you could for sure. I wonder. Well. It says, previously all attempts to create a bionic eye focused on implanting into the eye itself. Alex Short, a surgeon of Optegra Eye Hospital, told the Daily Mail in a July 2019 story focused on a system that works similarly to Fernandez's. It required you to have a working eye, a working optic nerve. By bypassing the eye completely, you open the potential up to many, many more people. Yeah, because they're going into the optic region of the brain. So if the optic nerve is destroyed, it wouldn't matter. But, bro, I mean, okay, so she can recognize letters and shapes and stuff, right? It was saying.
Colors, people.
So this is in its infancy, right? So,
yeah.
You know what I mean? That's something that. God. Well, remember we
talked. Good stuff.
We talked. Actually. Elon Musk was going to do that whole Neuralink thing. And that's putting shit in your brain. Whole lot of stuff getting put in your brain. All of a sudden.
Genes in your brain, and it's coming.
It's
coming if we all don't die.
Like the Rick and Morty bit. It's, come on, Morty. Stick it right in your brain.
God. I love that. An episode of
that. You're going to love it. Oh, well, you don't like comedies, but this is like a weird. Is it a comedy?
I
don't know that you can
Sometimes it is, sometimes it isn't.
it doesn't necessarily go out of its way to be funny as much as it does to think it's like an acid trip. I don't know how else to explain it. It's crazy. He can't see that, dude.
I'm just looking up to see what they classify it as.
As a show?
Yeah, I don't know if it's like comedy or some.
Yeah,
comedy. It's a comedy.
Yeah, they call it a comedy, Eric. You probably won't like it.
It's like as funny as like Robot Chicken's comedy.
He doesn't. I don't think he's ever seen it.
Oh,
yeah. Eric,
I've seen Robot Chicken, Moral Oral.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Look at you getting around. All right, Mr. Devlin, what we got up next?
Oh Lord, this is from ZMEScience.com. A single dose of psychedelic magic mushrooms can have a long-lasting positive effect on emotional health.
You know, I keep hearing about this, that people are using these things now for depression.
And alcoholism and addiction.
And addiction, too. Heroin addiction, specifically. I heard about that, too. On another note, I just saw that... if anybody's followed this, there was a family in Colorado, the Figgies.
Uh-huh.
I think it's how you pronounce her last name. And their daughter was, they had twin daughters, one of which was severely epileptic, and one of which wasn't. And they were one of the first people to get the strains of marijuana that didn't have the psychoactive agent in it. What is that? THC.
Yeah,
it was just CBD, and she was one of those first people to get that to help her get rid of her grand mal seizures. It was like a big deal. Dr. Gupta did a whole thing on it on CNN, and she just passed away yesterday. But I think she made it to 13. But she was young. She was like less than 5 when they started giving her the meds. So. It prolonged her, but she had all kinds of, I guess, other sort of birth issues and malnormities that she was dealing with as well. But at least it gave her some peace. She was having like 100 grand mal seizures a day when they started. Yeah, it was a real tragic. It just cooked her, man. I mean, good Lord. Think of a human having to go through that. It's like get hit by a car 100 times a day. Good Lord. Anyway, moving on. Psychedelic research has gone through a sort of renaissance in the last couple of years. More and more studies have investigated the potential therapeutic applications of controlled substances such as psilocybin, the active psychoactive ingredient in magic mushrooms, LSD, and MDMA for treating PTSD, depression, anxiety, or addiction disorders. A new study suggests the effects of psilocybin on how the brain processes emotions can last for up to a month after an initial high dose. This all sounds very promising, Mr. Smith.
Are mushrooms addictive?
I don't know enough about them. What's that, bub?
Not to my knowledge.
No?
No. I mean, not in my experience or my knowledge.
Okay.
Oh, earlier in the article, they were saying that can help against to help battle addiction, and I was like, I thought that was backwards thinking because I thought mushrooms were addictive. So wouldn't it cause another addiction?
No, I don't know. I mean, I don't know that that's. I don't think that all drugs are addictive. I think it depends.
I've done psilocybin mushrooms 4 or 5 times, and I don't feel like I was ever addicted to it.
No?
I would do it again. Without reservations.
Oh, really? Okay. Do tell.
And what do you want to know?
What do you want to tell me?
I'm not addicted to them. That's the question. I don't think that they are. As far as I know, I don't know anyone who have become addicted to them. People tend to use them sparingly and spiritually and holistically.
Spiritually.
Yeah. I mean, there's the occasional recreational use and stuff, but it's a really long, like 12-hour trip.
Ugh.
And it's not something that you can really do like while you're hanging out at work or something. You know, it's more like a vacation. You need to have the time frame to do it in so that you can.
That's the thing that sort of turns me off to a lot of this stuff, man, is like once you sort of strap this rocket pack on, you're strapped on. Like
why they call it a trip.
You're going.
You're going to go on a trip. You're a psychonaut. You're going to explore some of the things inside your mind, and you're going to be on a trip. And then you're not going to be able to just eat something or change your perspective or put some music on, and it's not going to go away. You're going to deal with it.
It's persistent.
Until it goes away. and don't fight it. Just enjoy it. I mean, I've drove like twice, and that was fun. I enjoyed driving while doing it. Had a lot of positive experiences with it.
Yeah. Do you think that it helps or can help with things like depression and stuff like that?
Yeah, I think so. The first time I experienced it, it helped me with a situation that I had that was like real fucked up in my head and stuff, and it allowed the ability to have a perspective where you were kind of outside of your own mind looking at it, so that you could prospectively say, that's kind of fucked up.
Yeah.
You've got this inside of you, and you need to recognize that it's there and understand it and know where its place is at. Because right now you've got it lying where you can trip over it, and sometimes it trips you up.
Yeah.
Right? But only in that psychedelic state. The Greeks used to have this as the definition of what ecstasy was, which was being outside of your body spiritually. And what they're talking about is when they would have these psilocybin experiences, they would be able to reflect upon their mind, like you would look at your body in the mirror and make a judgment about your body. You could kind of look inside your mind as a psychonaut and be able to see the psyche and make a judgment on that psyche. You would when you would come down from your trip, you would take that knowledge with you. You would understand what happened, and you'd be able to incorporate that into your head. And it's kind of like maybe if a chiropractor aligns your muscles and stuff, like it can come out of joint again, or it can get moved again and stuff, things in your head, right? Psyche and stuff.
Right.
But you can always go back into that psychedelic state, and you can kind of push things back where they need to be and just tidy stuff up.
I saw this like fascinating interview once with Mike Tyson,
Mm-hmm.
where he talked about it after he got out of prison and stuff, that he used some sort of psychedelic drug. I don't remember what it was, but he only did it one time.
Probably DMT.
I think he said it was one time, and it like completely turned him off to things like ego and violence and this kind of stuff.
Yeah.
Which is really fascinating when you think about like that guy's identity was based entirely in ego and violence.
And ego kills the spirit.
So now, like, dude, if you like, I like listen to him talk, I'm like, he's a whole different cat now. Yep. Like he's all philosophical and deep, and I'm like, Jesus Christ, this is Mike Tyson. You know, I mean, he was a murderer before.
Yeah, he shut all that off in his life. He didn't use any of that, and then when he was able to see it and see, the thing was, that's what I'm saying, right? He found the doors to those parts of him, and when he came down off of that, he still knew where those doors are at. He could still go back and access those things he didn't even know before where the door was at.
Right.
It wasn't even an option, but that's what it does. That's what it does. I don't, you can use it like anything else, but. And
I've seen like I think there's Denver, Colorado. Is it Denver or Boulder? Yeah. One of the cities in Colorado legalized psilocybin mushrooms.
Yeah.
And that I've heard that people are like taking small amounts of it all day that have like extreme depression and shit like that. And it apparently it helps with that too. So this is really kind of fascinating, man, because we had the whole pot thing go down where now they found all the like medicinal benefits of that. And then like, I mean, God, dude, 10 years ago, if you told me that over 50% of the states in the United States was going to have legalized marijuana, I'd have been like, no, you're high. That isn't happening, right? And now, and it all started like in Colorado. Now Colorado is like legalizing these, like psychoactive drugs and shit. Yeah, I mean, we're not in any way recommending that people do any of this.
Anything.
Yeah. So I'm not trying to say that, hey, go have a good time, kids. That's not what I'm getting at. There seems to be some interesting shit going on here with things that were explicitly made criminal that are having way more medicinal benefits. I think people with the pot stuff get a little crazy though sometimes. Like, you got the gout pot, you got cancer pot, you got gray hair pot. It's like your dick limp pot. It's like everything. No, man, it don't fix everything. Okay, everybody slow down.
It's just like I talk about the hegemony destruction because of D&D and my thesis and stuff. Anything that allows you to think freely or find yourself fully can be a threat to the homogeny of society, the expected norms that they intend on passing down to their youth, things they expect them to do. If they do have something in their life that expands their minds, whatever that is, D&D or something else, or book, whatever, beyond a book on philosophy, beyond what is expected of them,
right?
It's a threat.
Yeah.
So you can't take these psychoactive drugs. They're dangerous, right? You can't have certain books. They're banned in certain places. So you can't read this. It's bad for your brain. Music. There's anything that will do that. You'll find banned. So.
Yeah, but that
the libertarian in you must be going, yeah, man.
Oh, totally, yeah. But to your point, that also illuminates that these kinds of drugs are not the only way to sort of get to those mind expanding places either, and are not necessarily necessary to do that.
No, Peruvians used to use sweat lodge type effects. Other people have done, like with food, like what they would allow themselves to eat, or fasting. Some people use where they whip themselves so that they build up endorphins to get that ecstasy experience. There's a lot of different ways that you can trigger or add to the chemicals in your body. Some people do ayahuasca, which was basically DMT. There's a lot of ways to do it. It's not just through drugs. But the idea is that you are having a psychotropic state in your mind so that you can access these parts that normally are cut off to you.
Yeah, definitely. Yeah, I think, and I've seen people that you can like whip yourself into that sort of frantic, meditative, highly elevated sort of state. I think that's what was happening with, like, say, the Native Americans. I think it's what happens in like Pentecostal type.
Yes.
Because there's no doubt in my mind that there are people that have those experiences and have life-altering experiences from it. No doubt. I just don't know. For me personally, I just don't think it's connected to any specific deity necessarily. You know what I mean? Like, I think
more ritualistic.
Yeah, I think it's just part of the human condition. I think it's just part of our, whatever. It's just part of how we're built. And
have you seen the? Sorry.
No, go ahead.
You see the people that hang from hooks and spin?
Yeah. Don't look that up, Devil. Well, there were Native American rituals, right? We seen that in a movie one time where they would pierce their skin and then like hang from it. Yeah.
I know exactly what you're talking about. Oh my God. That was a National Geographic book I never wanted to open.
I never want to see again, huh? The article says most studies that examine the effects of psilocybin in the brain focused on performing fMRI scans of brain activity during the high of the trip alongside a follow-up patient evaluation. While such
alongside, okay, now tell me, what did you feel? What were you thinking?
Dude, what'd the aliens say?
Right.
I told the guys at the gym that one time, man. It was like, because I went and did the float tank, and it was oh God, bro. That's another way I think that you could sort of enter those without necessarily having to have any kind of foreign fun substances. Is a float tank.
Go watch the movie Altered States.
Yeah, my experience was nowhere near as violent as that.
Well, just take some DMT before you do it next time.
Yeah, is that what you want me to do?
Either that or psilocybin shrooms.
I listened to Dark Side of the Moon while I was in there. Does that count?
You can add that too, and that would be fine.
Pink Floyd.
You could do, yeah. I mean, like if you could do it, like if you can get a tank
Mm-hmm.
with the salt inside an anabolic chamber, so you can't hear any sound, and just get some psilocybin or some DMT.
Right.
I guarantee you, you'll be a different person.
This place, I tell you, and I'll do it again. I'm actually looking forward to doing it again. But my experience with it was, I think I did 45 minutes or an hour, somewhere around there. But what I remember happening is me spending like the first 15 to 20 minutes going, nothing's happening. Like laying in this thing going, I don't get it. Like, because I think I was overanalyzing it way too much.
Yeah.
So finally, I just kind of got to the point where I was like, well, fuck it. I'll just take a nap while I'm in here. And that's the trick. That's where you hit the ejection handles, boom, punch out of reality.
That's like, I saw this thing where, like mind control, people that claim they can, oh God, what's it? It's not mind control really.
Farseeing?
No. When somebody is trying to get you to do what they want you to, it's a
mind control.
I think it's mind control. Yeah, some people hypnotism.
Are you on mushrooms?
Yes. No.
Yes. No.
Hypnotism. Okay,
hypnotism. Yes.
That makes sense. Yeah. Go ahead.
Some people that claim they can do hypnotism say that it doesn't work on people who don't want to be hypnotized.
That's what I've understood. Yeah.
So I think it's the same thing. It's like unless you are
like let your defenses down to it.
Yeah.
Man, it was awesome, bro. And the only thing I can explain it as is like it did sort of feel like when you get to that place right between being awake and asleep. But when you go to, it's different. This, doing it in there was like you get to that place right between, but you don't leave it. So you have these like it's like fucking how else to tell you. It's like a wet connection. It like connects you to that side of your brain way deeper than when you're in this physical world where you can feel everything.
Yeah.
When you go to sleep, for me, when I go to sleep, it just sort of feels like a switch. And then I just wake up the next day a lot, right? It's like I don't know that I'm falling asleep. I wake up because I fell asleep. So at some point I just pass out. When you do like when I did the float tank, this is my personal experience. I laid in there and was like, well, I'll just take a nap. But I never fell asleep. I was aware that I was in a float tank the entire time. But I fucking wasn't in that float tank anymore. I'll tell you that right now, man. It was like, so when people ask me what's it like, I said it's like going and talking to the aliens because you do feel like you're floating.
Having it out of body.
Yeah. It's amazing, man. I mean, it was like it was like my brain just sort of fucking melted open. And there was no limit to where it would, and it was just sort of floating around and bouncing around to all of these different things and pictures, images, thoughts, all this shit was ripping through my head. And I was just like, whoa.
Well, but, and also consider when we talk about psychedelics too, with Orco R, we talk about how the atoms of the cellular skeleton of neurons, their atoms dipole line up,
right?
As opposed to when they have anesthetics and they uncouple,
right?
Which is so like it's like lubing your brain to be, putting oil in there for that transition.
Yeah,
you're talking about.
Yep.
So it's a lot quicker in and out or whatever with that.
With the float tank or with mushrooms?
No, with the psychotropic substances.
Yeah. Because they connect that like your conscious and your subconscious connect. Am I saying that right? Like it connects that shit together somehow.
At least as OR goes, it connects you with the universe because you on a quantum level. It allows you to pick up the quantum vibrations of the small scale structure of the universe a lot more readily than you normally do in the relativistic world that you normally live in.
Now put this together for someone if they've just started listening. This is something we covered back in like episode 8 of No Shitcast. If you really want to take a deep dive in this, but this is a really interesting theory solves the hard problem of consciousness, right? Kind of.
Yeah.
It's a theory. but
Sure.
it's something that Eric's been telling me about for years now, and I've just been fascinated with as well. But it's a
And
theory.
last year, it started showing up in textbooks.
Yeah.
Some of the anthropology and sociology handbook or textbooks that I had seen come into the library where I worked had a chapter in them about quantum consciousness.
Wow.
They didn't call it OR, but that's the theory put forth by Stuart Hammerhoff and Roger Penrose. Roger Penrose came up with the idea of the reduction part, which is he was basically saying that there's not an infinite number of universes, but there's only maybe about 6, and then just due to how the fine scale structure of relativity works, it buds those off into one. Like the wave function collapses into just one universe that you perceive, but for a while there's more than one, but that is on the border of quantum to macro, right?
Yeah.
And because your brain, when these atoms in the skeleton of the cells of the neurons in your brain line up, they interact with that small scale. And it's like saying that you have an insight into the slightly deeper workings of the universe and a stronger connection with the process that buds off 6 possibilities into one possibility.
Right.
Or reality, if you will. Like the whole Schrodinger's cat experiment, where the cat is alive and dead until the wave function collapses, and it's either alive or dead, for sure. It's not in a state of both, like it is before you look into the box. But looking into the box causes that wave function to collapse, and either the cat is alive or dead. It's the same thing with reality and OR. For a brief moment, if you can tune into that scale, you are on that same edge of what is between probability and possibility and reality.
Yeah. Now, so if this is true, and it's an if, right? It's a theory. It sort of makes the. Let me think how I'll say this. It sort of postulates that there really isn't separate. There's one consciousness, and every individual is just a individualized instance of the same quantum consciousness. So
it seems like that because
we are all one, man.
Well, yeah, to some extent. I mean, that's what they say. The people that have experience with DMT and people that have had near-death experiences, they have all talked about this idea that once they were dying and transitioning, or that they were on this trip, that their consciousness would become one with everyone else's.
Yeah.
Also, that this place is non-linear time. So just the idea that time doesn't go from point A to B to C to D, that it just is, also kind of precludes the idea that you can be a separate entity with a different thought, because there isn't no time for a different thought. There is only one time, one reality, one conscience, and
that's it.
And I think that and I think that the way that they talk about it is that it's nice to plug back into that conscious stream, but that the real joy and fun and excitement and point is when they actually branch off from that and come into a place where there's linear time and there's all this veil where you don't know what's going to happen in the future because there's all these probabilities.
Right.
And it's not happening all at once. It's like dominoes falling, right? You don't know exactly where the end is at. And so you try to work and influence it and stuff, and you experience things, and it gives you a point of reference and an anchor, right? But if you took away time and you took away your individuality, you wouldn't have any anchor for reference.
Right.
You'd lose a lot of meaning to things.
So that's kind of the trip then. So that's reality, and we're the simulation?
Essentially, but the simulation brings more joy than the reality, because the reality is more perfect. And you know what's there, and you know everything that you need to know. But when you go down into the simulation, you're uncertain, and there's a veil, and you only have your individual perspective.
Right.
You don't have 1,000-year lineage of all the incarnated things you've been, or any of that. You're just kind of almost cut off from everything.
Right.
And, it's like if you're a teenager, man, the first time you get in your car and you drive away from your family and your house, and you totally can do what you want to do, be where you want to be, and sometimes you get in trouble and sometimes you don't. But it's the same way with life, right? You get cut off from that, and you come down, and you've got this chance or this opportunity. Sometimes it works out, and sometimes it doesn't.
Right.
But it was always pretty much a fun trip for the most part.
Okay, so in addition, the volunteers had to complete various tasks that assess their emotional functioning and well-being. According to the results published in the journal Scientific Reports, the volunteers' level of self-reported emotional distress was significantly reduced in the first week after they received psilocybin under supervision. Additionally, the brain scans showed a decrease in the amygdala's response to emotional information 1 week after the initial psychedelic dose. Quote, acute psilocybin effects include reduced negative mood, increased positive mood, and reduced amygdala response to negative affective stimuli, the authors wrote in the study. Well, that all sounds really fucking positive.
I'm down with it.
I wonder if it works better. We probably shouldn't say that. I was thinking along the lines of like, the standard antidepressants that are available. It'd be fucking hilarious if they find out some mushroom. We've like biologically evolved with this mushroom for millions of years, right? And it's one of them things that we sort of need to reset the brain every now and then.
It's possible. Those other drugs are pretty harsh, man.
The synthetic stuff. Yeah. Well, we're just starting to figure out how to play with brain chemistry really when you think about, okay, so a conservative estimate, how long's human beings as we know them today, Homo sapiens, been on the planet? Mr. Historian, can you take a swat at that?
Yeah, probably for like more or less modern human 10,000 years.
Okay. And we've known how to we've started the process of, exploring drugs and the way not including alcohol and that stuff. I mean, like pharmaceutical level shit, in the last 100 years? So if you think 10,000 years and for 100, we've been playing with this shit. So we really are just sort of at the beginning of really understanding. Ultimately, I would think. You think we figured everything out?
Well, man, just think of what you just said. We're at the very beginning, and I agree with that, right? It's like 10% of the time that we've had or so.
Yeah.
And, but couple that with the idea that with Moore's Law, like we were already using things like CRISPR and such, which is crazy, right? Like we don't really even understand the base chemical interactions that we have with pills, powders, medicines, and all that.
Right.
But now we're starting to work on the molecular level with DNA.
Yes.
And changing that, and we're even more in our infancy with that. So our ability to continue to hone down and get to the base level of humans by putting things in them or arranging things in them is far exceeding the knowledge that we have about how that's going to affect things in the long run.
Right. Oh, absolutely, man. It's a wonderful time to be alive if we all make it. Yeah. If any of us make it. I mean, there's a lot of really interesting shit going on with this kind of stuff, for sure. Okay, the amygdala represents a collection of neural cells in the brain where emotions are given meaning, remembered, and attached to our associations with them and responses to them. It is also the seat of the infamous fight or flight response that is triggered by intense negative emotions such as fear, anxiety, aggression, and anger.
Yep. I was going to say earlier, less knee-jerk reactions is basically what they're saying to negative experiences because it affects the amygdala of the brain, which is like what you just said, that knee-jerk flight, fight, emotional response situation.
It could be a life changer for someone with PTSD, man.
Oh, yeah.
I mean, negative effect, a broad concept that can be summarized as feelings of emotional distress in response to facial stimuli. Yeah. And the amygdala response returned to baseline levels after 1 month. However, positive effect remained elevated, and trait anxiety was reduced even after 1 month.
That's probably because they had the knowledge that they could just trip again and it would be fine.
You think, and that kind of decouples it from being so permanent then, doesn't it? Sort of in the mind, it's like, well, if I can just do this again, then I can just reset that. So you don't feel quite as attached to it anymore.
Yeah, remember in episode 3 when I was talking to you about the Neolithic Revolution?
Sure.
Yeah, that when people first came across what you could eat and what would poison you and stuff that had psilocybin in it, right?
Right.
So you're imagine, like you were talking about this whole idea of knowing that you can continue to be connected, right?
Right.
You know that there's something out there that can connect you. And remember how I was saying that the women were the first people to find these psychotropic substances, and they were the first people to gather the men together who had traditionally been might makes right? Like, we're following the herd this way. You have no choice. Get your shit. Do what I say, right?
Okay.
They held all the power. The women didn't have a whole lot of power. They had like birthing power and rearing of children, so they wasn't like they were powerless, right? But they really got into their own power when they discovered these substances that they foraged for that would trip, right? And they were the first people that would have introduced it to the males. And then the males, they got that connection that you were talking.
Is that the apple?
And yeah, it's essentially
because the idea, the concept of the fruit of the tree of knowledge, right? Fruit of the tree of knowledge.
Yeah, kind of, yeah. Because see, then they keep coming back, just like you were pointing out that these people know that there's a connection and they'll keep coming back. It's the religious experience, right?
Okay.
So that was like the beginning of the separation of church and state, or being two sides of that, right? Because there was always this medicine woman, a Gaia figure, because these things are spread out all over Europe, right?
Okay.
There was always this medicine woman who would be able to bridge that connection, and she held a lot of power and respect in the tribe because she had that knowledge, and nobody else had that knowledge. They had no way of getting to where they wanted to be in a spiritual and religious sense.
Right.
And it was convenient and it was quick. There might have been other ways to achieve that with sweat lodges and various things that would hurt you and stuff that would drive you into a frenzy, or drum circles and stuff at 72 beats per minute.
Dancing around fires naked with war paint all over you.
But this shit was like direct and quick and controllable and dosable. Right?
Yeah.
Like, so.
And you could do it on command almost. Right.
Yeah. Yeah. And you could start really defining your religion. Right there is the ingredients for a proto-religion, a psychotropic substance, a divergence in power between male and female, a bit of secret knowledge. And from that point, it's just going to bloom some kind of religion.
Yeah.
People are going to keep coming back and hitting that.
It's certainly all the right ingredients, isn't it? Kind of thing.
Yeah.
For sure.
Yeah, and that's that whole stoned ape theory as far as religion goes. Like, my take on that is the religious aspect, right? And so many proto-religions connect back to psychotropic substances.
It's in the documentation. It's in the like that they find artifacts. They go and get spectral analysis on what's in the medicine bags.
Yeah,
and these people were absolutely using marijuana. They were absolutely using psychotropic substances. So from what, 8,000 years ago, 10,000 years ago?
Probably 10,000 years ago.
Yeah.
About 10,000 years ago was roughly the Neolithic Revolution, where they started growing things and cultivating things and segmenting things into, like, we want more of this. We don't need any more of that because that's not nutritious. Don't touch that at all. That's going to kill you.
Yeah.
And then it's a special thing that I found that's like beyond all of this.
Right.
I ain't even telling anybody about. It's like having the ring of power. Like, who are you going to tell? Anybody you tell is going to want it.
I'm not making the claim, though, that everything that they did in the Neolithic times or whatever we should do today. Like, some people, I've seen people radically change their diets. Like, I'm going on a caveman diet and all this shit. And I'm like, I don't mean that at all, nor do I mean that means it's automatically safe. I don't think any of this stuff should be taken lightly. Right? I mean, I'm not making that recommendation either. But the fact that there is an interaction there begs to be researched. I don't think you can just throw it away and say, oh, this is not good, so we just won't do it at all. And I'm glad to see that this kind of stuff is happening now, where people are seeing like really positive results from this kind of thing. It's really cool.
Yeah, it's nice to have the scientific community looking into
like getting
how
in.
It can be controlled.
Yeah.
And not just something that you're doing mistakenly, maybe out of a religious or ritualistic purpose.
And this article, everything everything in here seems to be have been handled in very much a clinical environment, right? So it says, quote, a single high dose of psilocybin administered to properly screened individuals in a carefully controlled setting can have lasting positive effects on emotional functioning in healthy individuals. These effects were reflected in transient changes in the function of brain regions that support emotional processing. Frederick Barrett, an assistant professor and the corresponding author of the study, told SciPost. Hey, Mr. Devlin, can you look up the article? There was a guy that was fired because he tried to dose his fellow employees. He thought it would make them happier.
More productive. Yeah, happier, more productive.
Yeah, look that up. Did we do that on the show already? I just remember this.
No, I'm just laughing about it. I mean, you really need someone's permission. You can't just go Bill Crosbying them or whatever. Bill Crosby.
Okay, yep, that's it. Who's this from?
KMOV.com says police 19-year-old Enterprise employee spiked coworker's water with LSD.
I mean, I don't think this is good, right? I mean, this shouldn't be happening.
No.
But I'm going to laugh about it.
If you don't know what's happening, it can be bad for you.
It says Arnold police are investigating an unusual incident that occurred at the Enterprise rental car location last Thursday, according to Lieutenant Clinton Woodridge. He sounds like a cop, doesn't he? Two employees became dizzy and shaky and didn't know why. The workers were taken to an urgent care center and then transferred to Mercy Hospital South.
The whole time they're probably like, I'm telling you, I'm freaking out. I'm really freaking out. And they're like, I don't know what's wrong with them. We need to find what's going on with these people. Their blood pressure is highly elevated.
Their pupils are all dilated and shit.
Yeah, they are really freaking out, like autonomically speaking.
Woodridge said officers questioned a 19-year-old male employee, and he admitted putting LSD in the water bottles of two co-workers.
Yeah, dude, that was me. They're fine. They'll be fine. In 8 hours, they'll be fine.
And a third employee's coffee cup. So he got three people. Police said the man told them he did it because his fellow employees had, quote, negative energy. Like, look, man.
Yeah. Good karma. See, you're an asshole every day. Someone's going to slip you a Mickey, and you expect this.
Go talk to the aliens, fucker.
Right. I hate you so much. I just don't want you to be an asshole today. Here you go.
According to the task force commander of the Jefferson County Municipal Enforcement Group, which investigates drug crimes, the workers' reaction is consistent with the use of LSD. Quote, you're going to have an increased heart rate, temperature, high blood pressure. It's been described as causing the shakes or tremors, said Sergeant Tony Dennis with the Jefferson County Sheriff's Department. Dennis said the popularity of LSD dropped off during the 1980s because it was all cocaine in the 80s, right?
And they started putting people in jail based on the weight, and a lot of it was on paper. It was liquid on paper, and it significantly increased the sentence times.
Oh, wow.
So people fucking with that shit.
Just said fuck it.
Yeah.
Well, but had a resurgence in the 90s and 2000s at raves. He said LSD is still around even though there's not much publicity about it. Typically, it comes in a clear, odorless liquid. The Enterprise workers were okay after the effects of the drugs wore off. Woodridge said no charges will be filed until lab tests are done on the water, but the suspect could face charges of second-degree assault and possession of a controlled substance. I think that's fair.
I assaulted someone with LSD.
Dude, you shouldn't be dosing fucking people for any that's not consent. You can't consent.
It's not, no.
That's bad mojo, bro. That's like, don't do that.
It's like they might meet you in an alley and beat you with a bat, kind of bad mojo.
Wouldn't you?
Well, I'd be pretty pissed.
I'd be pretty pissed, too, if someone dosed my ass. All right, bro, we're coming up on an hour and 23, almost 24 minutes, so we're going to start wrapping up. We went way over an hour tonight. Wow. It was a good time, huh?
Yeah.
Hey, this with the headphones is working out way better, man. This is great.
Good.
So I'm glad we kind of got the bugs, working the bugs out of this, so... Devlin, Mr. Smith, your cameras, your microphones, you got anything you want to put out there? I could be regretting that question here.
Yeah, you're going to regret that, but go with Devlin first.
Okay, go ahead, Devlin.
I don't want to say what I was going to say.
No?
It's going to start off a whole conversation on the show. I might as well just tell Eric afterwards.
Oh, okay.
Oh, no, that's good, right?
Well, you were trying to wrap up.
Yeah.
Oh, you're trying to wrap up? Oh, that's cool. I'll just talk later too then.
Look, it's like when I do that, it's like, hey, shout out to Money D, Huggy Bear, Southside. It's like that. It's not, well, let me tell you my ethos on fucking everything.
Yeah, right. Yeah.
That's not
let me
what
tell
I
you
mean.
The story about a chicken I used to put vitamins into.
Oh my God.
No, I know it's time to finish off. I got you.
Shout out to Mick D, Pimp, and Poke Your Butt on League of Legends.
League of Legends. All right, we'll wrap up there. Devlin, we're gonna leave that running afterwards. Don't stop it, okay? The audio.
Oh, sure.
Thanks for listening, everybody. Check us out at www.noshitcast.com. It's KNOWSHITCAST.com. Make sure you hit those like and subscribe buttons. Give us a share. We'd greatly appreciate it. We will catch you all next time. Thanks for listening, everyone. Bye, Sickles. That was fun.